Good evening. Welcome in to this edition of the Blitz. Thank you for joining me today. We have the legend himself in the house today on the Blitz. Austin, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, Corey. How you doing today?
Doing good, brother. I'm just glad we've got the legend back in here, man. I've been having to ride solo here for a little while. So
Man, I'm glad to be back. I'm really glad to be back. I love your show. I watch it every Thursday when you post your new videos. I absolutely love it. For all you fans that haven't logged in or looked at us yet, make sure you subscribe to Corey's YouTube channel. He's a great entertainer. Love listening to him, and good facts.
Absolutely. I appreciate the vote of confidence there. Although, hey, we just like talking about football. We're not trying to, we're not too fancy or anything around here right now. But hey, it's always fun to talk about football. Yeah, welcome into the Blitz, and we hope you enjoy the show. We have a full slate of topics to go over today. There are some big games this weekend. There's no doubt. Austin, tell me if you agree, but I feel like this year in college football, we haven't really had a disappointing weekend.
So far, I do not believe so. I can remember one about 2 weeks ago, and it was a Hail Mary around 7 o'clock in the evening, and that was really disappointing. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea. I'm not 100%. So that really happened? I thought that was a nightmare.
Yeah, me too until I woke up.
Hey, can we just move on from the Hail Mary? I haven't been able to sleep at night, first of all. I'm still having trouble.
If you're a Georgia fan and you have slept, there's probably something wrong.
No kidding. Well, hey, look. Other than that, okay, there hasn't really been a disappointing weekend in college football, although that's going to be a tough one to swallow and a tough one to forget there, especially for us Georgia fans. But like we mentioned, there's a full slate of good football games this weekend. I mean, we're going to break down, just to kind of give you guys a heads up, we're going to break down our top 5 matchups this week. Actually, really, it'll be 6 matchups, and we'll have a bonus matchup, which will be our game of the week that we're going to break down for you guys. But before we do that, Austin, let's run through this top 25, this week's top 25. We've had a little shake-up in the polls, and starting right off the top here, you have Alabama. They haven't gone anywhere. They are one of what is it? Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9 undefeated teams. No, let's see, 10, 11 undefeated teams total. Out of those 11, you have Western Michigan and Boise State, Baylor, Nebraska, but they're not really getting a lot of love right now. But just to start off, you have Alabama at 1, Ohio State, Clemson coming in at number 3. To round out your top 4, you have Michigan, and Washington making an appearance here. This is one of the top teams in the country right now, and they come in at number 5, and they are undefeated. And they had a nice showing against Stanford there a couple weeks ago. Right behind them at number 6 is Texas A&M. Louisville following them up with Wisconsin, Tennessee, and Nebraska rounding out the top 10. Coming in at number 11 is Baylor, 12, Ole Miss, 13, Houston. And Houston, disappointing loss last week against Navy, knocking themselves, I think, in what most people think, out of playoff contention. What do you think, Austin?
I don't see enough on their resume to put them into a top 4 spot from here on out. I said at the beginning of the season, if they could run the table, then you can't deny them a top 4. But now I think, with in my opinion, a sad loss to a Navy team that hasn't beat a ranked team in nearly 8 years, I think it knocks them out of the running for a top 4.
I have to agree with you. Their schedule was already weak, and losing a game like that, I mean, give Navy credit. I don't want to take anything away from them, but at the end of the day, if you have a schedule that weak, you can't lose one. Anyway, let's move on. Florida State coming in number 14, big win over Miami last week. Missed extra point, so Florida State really dodged one. And you know what? I think as a Georgia fan, this will give you a sigh of relief. This is just proof that Mark Richt wasn't able to win the big game. I mean, when I saw that missed field goal and I saw Miami lose by 1 at home, it just reminded me of the last 15 years of being a Georgia fan. Just disappointment. So, number 15, Boise State. Miami's coming in at number 16. They dropped 6 spots after that loss to Florida State. Virginia Tech, 4-1. Their only losses to Tennessee. They moved up 8 spots this week. Justin Fuente doing some good things down there in Blacksburg. Florida coming in at number 18. They had I guess you could call it a bye week last week, and we're going to discuss that. Oklahoma 19, West Virginia, Utah, Arkansas, Auburn, Western Michigan, and Navy after their win over Houston, rounding out the top 25. So there's your top 25. Some surprises. I think that Houston, obviously a surprise there, but real quick, Tennessee didn't move. Lost to Texas A&M in 2 overtimes on the road. Did not move. Stayed at number 9. Austin.
Yeah, and some can disagree and some can agree, but Tennessee, I mean, if you ask anybody in the country, they have the talent to beat a Texas A&M team. I mean, goodness gracious, Corey. What was it, 7 turnovers?
7 turnovers. And the last one was the dagger.
So, I don't see how you necessarily take anything away from them. Yeah, they need to get all their nuts in a basket because they are going all to hell. I mean, they've had
in the first half, yeah.
Games. They've had a bunch of close games. Now, they come out in the second half, playing hearts out. But is that going to be enough to take over an Alabama team this coming week?
Yeah.
We'll talk about later.
Yeah, you can't get behind like that to Alabama, that's for sure. But, I agree with you. I think Tennessee, I'm starting to understand what Butch Jones when he says resiliency, because he's been saying that for feels like 100 years. But they are showing some resiliency right now, coming back, and you just can never count them out. That's one thing we're learning about Tennessee. So, okay, let's move on to our top, the Blitz's top 5 games of the week. And again, we will have a bonus game, which is our game of the week at the end of these. Austin, kick it right off with our beloved Bulldogs taking on the Anchor Down Commodores this weekend, buddy.
Now, there's a couple interesting things about this game. I read a couple stats earlier today, and Georgia is coming in as a 14-point favorite. We're favored 77% to win this game against the Vanderbilt team. And Vanderbilt has lost a couple games, but they have not lost a game, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, by more than 8. Besides the Georgia Tech loss. They hung in there with Florida. They hung in there with Florida. They hung in there with Kentucky. Western Kentucky, they won. So they can be a surprise. Georgia has not really proven themselves yet. As a fan, I'm a little disappointed. We have 2 big losses to 2 games. One game we completely blew out the water. The Tennessee game, I think anybody should count that as a win. But, things happen in college football. That's why it's an amazing sport.
Yeah, that's what it's part of it, right?
I think Georgia comes out and gets this done. I think Kirby Smart has talked his football team up. They're getting a couple good players back. Jonathan Ledbetter and Reggie Carter are now.
Those are 2 big pieces too. I mean, those are some guys that we need back. Jonathan Ledbetter, big time recruit, had some alcohol issues, and he's coming back. And he was suspended for 6 weeks. And Kirby Smart, stuck to his guns on that one. So yeah, it's going to be good to have him back.
So I think Georgia. I have Georgia winning this game by 13.
Just one short of the spread. The spread is 14. So.
Yeah, and Jacob Eason's going to have to reprove himself this week after a disappointing week last week versus South Carolina team.
You know what? I have. I think when you put 326 yards on the ground, I mean, you got to give the kid a break. What's the point in throwing the football? I mean, yes, he needed to throw the football a little bit better last week, but I mean, let's give the kid a break. He had a huge pass against Tennessee, practically, should have won the game. And obviously the big win against Missouri. So I think as a true freshman, considering our offensive line's not been very good this year, I mean, gosh, man, I really love what I'm seeing out of Jacob Eason. Now, I wished he would have put up 300 through the air last week, but let's give the kid a break. I mean, all you got to do when you have a healthy Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, arguably the best running back duo in the country when they're both healthy, why throw it? I mean, it was just like hot knife through butter the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you're having that much success on the ground, Corey, I don't think you can abort mission. I think you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
There was some passes. And also, you have to put in consideration, if you listen to the after-game report, Kirby said, that there in the first half, wind conditions were terrible. The kid's never seen this before. I mean, he's a freshman in the SEC. You got to give him a break, especially playing under the conditions that he played in. But we'll just have to follow up and see how he does game in and game out. But I think he's going to be something special. I really do. Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there like a massive hurricane that came through? The conditions were not perfect.
Some people were comparing it to Nick Chubb's running. It just destroyed everybody.
Yeah, that's a hurricane in itself. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got the. Go ahead.
Real quick, Corey, I'd like to send prayers out to all those families and houses that got hit by the hurricane.
Absolutely.
It was a devastating thing that happened to us on the East Coast. So just for everybody, keep praying for those families out there, and let's hope everything goes well for them.
Thoughts and prayers certainly go out to the families and all the people that lost their houses and lives. Certainly, thoughts and prayers go out to those people for sure. There are some things that are bigger than football, and that's one of them. But yeah, so we're definitely thinking of those people. But my pick on this game, I'm going to take Georgia, actually to cover the spread here. I think Georgia's going to come out and actually. This is a tough pick. I'm kind of on the fence about them, winning by 2 touchdowns here, but I'm going to take it. I think that Jacob Eason's going to come out with something to prove this week, and I think we got a healthy Nick Chubb. It's Vanderbilt. We're playing at home, and I like the Bulldogs to cover the spread in this one. Austin, let's move on. Game 2 in our on the agenda this week here on the Blitz. Florida taking on Missouri. They're a 13.5-point favorite. What are your thoughts on this game?
Missouri looks good. That freshman quarterback that's been throwing the ball for them.
Well, Drew Lock. He's I want to say he's a sophomore.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Correct. Sorry about that. Sorry. Yes, he is a sophomore.
It's all good, legend.
He's looking impressive. 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions this year. He's got 1,675 yards. That's pretty impressive.
He only has 4 interceptions?
He only has 4 interceptions on the year.
He had 3 against Georgia.
Yeah, he
did. Wow.
But also you have to look at Florida getting Del Rio back. Can't take anything away from that kid. He's amazing. I think Florida rolls. I think they cover the spread.
13.5, and that Florida defense, let's not forget. People want to say, they got exposed against Tennessee. Well, they did. Tennessee is a pretty high-powered offense, but I still think this is one of the better defensive units in the country, especially when they're able to get some rest because they have an offense that can keep them off the field for a little while. When they are when their offense is moving, Florida is they're loaded with NFL talent on defense. So I'm with you.
And see, another thing that scares me, you mentioned a really good point. They were exposed by Tennessee in a Josh Dobbs offense. Well, don't put it past Drew Lock. He can run the ball. So,
yeah.
Could it bottom again? If he can open this defense up to where he gets running room, he can definitely throw the ball. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I like it, but I still have Florida covered this week.
I'm with you. I think Florida wins this game. I think that Drew Lock's not going to have a lot of time to set in the pocket like he has been able to do against teams like Georgia because this Florida pass rush is pretty nasty. So I will take Florida, but I don't think they cover the spread of 13.5. I think this is much closer. As Luke Del Rio, I think he's going to have to shake off some rust, but I do think that Florida takes care of Missouri by 6 points. Let's move on. Game 3 this week. This is a big one. This is a big one. College Game Day hosting this game. Ohio State going on the road to take on the Badgers of Wisconsin. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I really do. my first initial thought was Ohio State's going to kill them, but golly, has Wisconsin been able to play football here lately? I mean, taking down a number 8 Michigan State 30-6. That's incredible. They have one loss to a Michigan team that I have going far this year. I have them in my top 4. I've had them there since the beginning. They beat a number 5 LSU. That's 2 top 10 wins for it.
You are the legend, man. I can't put it past you. I mean, you have been on Michigan. I'll give you that. You were on Michigan week 1. You were all over the Wolverines, and you're still standing by that, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to – and to give Wisconsin 11 points, that's crazy. Ohio State's good. Don't take anything away from them. But I'm going to take Wisconsin and get rid of the points and say they win this game straight out.
Wow. Okay, legend. That is one hell of an upset pick, my friend. Wisconsin's an 11-point underdog right now. They are playing at home. College Game Day is going to be there. This is going to certainly throw some hype around this team, and they have something to prove right now. Let me see. Is Wisconsin? Let me just check here. What is their record? Have they lost one or just 2? Or have they lost? No, they're 4-1. They're 4-1.
Their only loss is to Michigan.
Yeah, it's only to Michigan. So I was big on Wisconsin. Just because they had beaten LSU and everybody. At the time, LSU. We talked about this last week, but LSU. They were highly touted at the time. And Wisconsin took care of business on a neutral field, and so that was impressive. And then to be able to beat Michigan State, who a lot of people had, as a much better team than what we know now. But it's when the game was played, so there's psychological warfare there. And so I was really big on Wisconsin, but I'm gonna have to be honest with you here. Ohio State is they are my number 1 team in the country right now. I think that they are just super talented, well coached. The second best coach in the country, I think, behind Nick Saban is Urban Meyer. And I think that Ohio State is just too good. So I'm going to take Ohio State, and I actually think they cover the spread of 11.
Okay then. Well, that's why I'm the legend.
Man, you're bringing the heat. Come on, man. I'm not having you back on the show anymore, legend.
Oh man, no, I love you. I love being on the show. But hey, I want to point out a really cool little statistic here.
Go ahead.
That I pulled up. Ohio State is scoring 53 points a game. Okay. Well, Wisconsin only allowing 12.2. So can they continue to hold defenses to such a low score? And then on the other side of the ball, Ohio State is only allowing betting junkies out there, the over and under on this game is 44. I think you take the under here.
That's a good point.
I mean, you've got two high-powered defenses going head-to-head. So just that cool little fact. I want to see if Wisconsin can stop that 53-point average.
Let me say this, though, and that's a very good point. And, Wisconsin definitely has showed the ability to play some defense this year. But let's be honest, man. What offense have they seen that's anywhere even close to what they're going to see against Ohio State?
Yeah, they haven't shown much of an offense. They're averaging 26 points a game, which is not. I don't know.
No, I'm saying this Wisconsin defense hasn't seen an offense like they're going to see from Ohio State this week. They haven't played anybody to that caliber. So their defense, although it's looked good, it's only averaging, what'd you say, 12 what?
I mean, I think Michigan's offense is pretty high-powered, and they held them to 14. So.
That's good, yeah. I mean, but Michigan, in my opinion, their offense is nowhere close to Ohio State's. Man, that's
no,
my.
But hey, we will agree to disagree on this game.
Well, all right, you're taking Wisconsin. What, by one?
I'm gonna take Wisconsin straight out with this game by 3 points.
By 3 points. All right. Bold pick there from the legend. Okay, so he has Wisconsin winning this game by 3. Obviously, Ohio State's not covering the spread in the legend's eyes, but I think they do cover the spread of 11. I think Ohio State wins that game. Let's go game 4, Austin, as we are approaching our game of the week. But on the way there, I'm looking here at Arkansas taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. The Rebels are a 7.5-point favorite. Do you think they cover that one?
Corey, this honestly, I think this is one of the tougher games to pick. Both very dynamic offenses. Chad Kelly's amazing. I'm gonna say Ole Miss by 14. So yes, I think they cover the spread. I don't think Arkansas is ready for this Ole Miss team. And people look and say Ole Miss has 2 losses. Well, look who they lost to.
Yeah.
I mean, two quality losses, and they weren't big losses either. They lose to Alabama by 7, I think, and then they lost to Florida State by 9 or 10. So, I mean, I think they beat them. I think they cover the spread.
I really think Ole Miss is a good football team. I think that they are definitely, in my opinion, the best 2-loss team in the country right now. So I'm with you. I think Ole Miss is a very, very good quality football team. You know what? I'm going to. Did you make your pick there? Did you make your pick?
Yes, sir. I said Ole Miss covers the spread.
Okay, Ole Miss going to cover the spread of 7.5. Arkansas at home in this game, and they just the score was a little prettier than the game last week when they played Alabama. I think Arkansas is going to have something to prove this week. I think they're coming out at home with something to prove, and I think they're going to give Ole Miss everything they want. I'm going to take Arkansas to upset the Rebels. But I do think the Rebels are a better football team, but sometimes the better team doesn't win. We saw that happen in Athens this year, right? So, no, that was a joke. Obviously, Tennessee a better football team than Georgia, so Tennessee fans, don't go start slitting your wrists. It's okay. Anyways, yes, I'm gonna take the upset in this game.
One more point. You're going to take the upset. Would you take an over or an under? Over and under is 67.
Under.
That's a good pick. I don't think either one of these teams scores 67. I don't see.
Two good defenses.
I guess it is possible, but I mean they're both good defenses.
They're high-powered offenses. But 67, I would say, I would take, I think there'll be 60 points scored, total in this game, but I'd have to go under on 67. I mean, I think that Arkansas is going to really play hard in this game, and that's a tough call. But I'm just going to, just gut feeling is under on that one. Okay. Ole Miss, Arkansas. He's taking the Rebels to cover. I'm taking the Razorbacks to upset the Rebels at home. Next game on our list here, we talked about Miami when we were going through our top 25. They're taking on the Tar Heels. They get the Tar Heels at home. A disappointing loss against Florida State. North Carolina, disappointing loss for them last week as well against Virginia Tech. Who do you got in this game?
Corey, I've got UNC beating the spread.
Beating the spread. Okay, I thought you were gonna. Okay. Go ahead.
I like Miami, but Miami has no background.
Mm-hmm.
They play the Georgia Tech team, which really we don't really even know how good they are yet. But the only team that they played was Florida State, and they got beat by one, which was a missed field goal. So could it have been pressure? I don't know, but I do not think that a Miami team beats North Carolina, especially coming after a loss to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Virginia Tech, but I think UNC's got something to prove, and I think they prove it this Saturday.
Yeah, it's a good offense that UNC has going on. What is it? Mitch Trubinsky is starting to really kind of find his game. I think that North Carolina is a good football team. I'm going to go the other direction on you again. I'm going to take the Canes at home. I think this is a good game. I think it's a close game. I don't think that they cover, but I will take the Canes to win this one by a field goal at home against the Tar Heels. I think that Mark Richt will have these guys going. But real quick while we're on this game, Austin, you know how I was talking about in our top 25 and how Miami lost that game last week?
Yes.
Did that not just remind you of the last 15 years with Mark Richt? I mean, the Miami fans got a little taste of what we've dealt with. Can't win the big game.
I have flashbacks, but now, Corey, another thing, do you blame this loss on Mark Richt? He can't kick field goals, so I think if the kicker, maybe they need a new kicker. I know some other team that's in the same scenario.
Yep.
But Mark Richt doesn't know how to recruit a kicker. If you look at Georgia's kicking team, you would understand why I say that. So I don't know. I wouldn't put this loss on Mark Richt individually. I would put this loss all on that kicker.
But see, to me, it's not necessarily about the kicker. It's about special teams in general. The whole time that Mark Richt was at Georgia, most of the time he didn't have a special team staff. He's always underestimated the importance of special teams. And I think that got him beat a lot at Georgia, and that got him beat last week against Miami. Now, it was a missed field goal. It could have happened. It's an extra point, though. You got to have your guys mentally prepared, and this is the knock that Georgia fans had on Mark Richt. He's a great coach. He'll win you 10 games a year, but he's going to lose most of those big games and most of those games against ranked opponents. And Miami got a taste of that last week.
Yep.
So
can't disagree there.
But I'll take him to what?
Let's see if he can come away with a win this next week here and bounce back on the right track.
Well, he's got two pretty tough matchups these next two games. He got North Carolina this week at home, and then they go on the road to play Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, and then after that he goes on the road to play Notre Dame. So, Notre Dame's looked really bad this year so far, but I think that Mark Richt's Hurricanes are going to be tested, but I'm going to take them to beat North Carolina this week. We'll see what happens. That is our top 5. Are you guys ready for our bonus game of the week? on the Blitz. You know what it is. They know what it is. It's got to be. Who's it got to be, Austin? I mean, should we talk about the match like Duke and Louisville? Is that our game of the week, or is it Kansas State and Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas Tech? I mean,
well, I was hoping Appalachian State didn't play Wednesday night, or we would have been talking about them.
Yeah,
but,
that's our game of the week. App State, yeah, man, they're powerhouse.
Okay, I'll just say 2 words. I don't like saying these words, but for this week, I think I'm going to say it. Roll Tide.
Oh, my gosh. I never thought I would hear the legend say Roll Tide. But I think there's going to be a lot of Roll Tides this week. Of course, the game of the week on the Blitz is Tennessee at home taking on the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Bama's a 13-point favorite right now, coming off of a win against Arkansas. Tennessee coming off of a 3-game stretch with Florida, Georgia, and Texas A&M. And they've been the comeback kids. Last week, their luck ran out. Have they used all of their 9 lives, Austin, or do they have a chance this week?
Some would say, I think it's going to be a close game. Do I think they come away with a win against this great Alabama team? As we've seen in the past, Tennessee, they've struggled in the first half, and if you struggle in the first half against the Bama team, you're more than likely not going to be able to pull shamrocks out of your ass in the second half. So,
yeah, those just don't come around when you play Alabama very often, do they?
No. So I think Bama covers the spread, and I think they win this game by 17.
Hard to disagree with you. You know, we're going to both agree. We're going to both agree on this game. I'm taking Alabama, and you know what? I think that Tennessee is a really good football team this year. You look at some of their some of the injuries that they have going around. I mean, this team is just littered with injuries. They're missing 3 of their defensive players still. What was impressive, though, last week, Austin, to me was, Tennessee playing with a lot of these backups against Texas A&M. Now, maybe Texas A&M isn't as good as people thought, but I still think they're a pretty good football team. And Tennessee, without their 3 best defensive players, without their first-string running back, I guess. I mean, I like Alvin Kamara better, but Jalen Hurd was out of that game, and they took Texas A&M to the wire on the road. And I think they're a really good football team, so I don't think Bama can sleep on them. But I think that when you've had a 3-game stretch like Tennessee's had, they're playing a very, very well oiled machine in Alabama, and everybody's aware of that. They got the home crowd on their side, but I think Nick Saban and Alabama are just too strong. And, I might be a little bit of an oddball. I think Tennessee will cover the spread of 13, but I think it's a 10-point win for Alabama.
It's a weird game. It really is, because it's depending on what Tennessee team shows up. I mean, Josh Dobbs, he's thrown 8 interceptions on the year. I think if Tennessee wants to win this ball game, I do not think they can have a turnover. If they do have a turnover, it better not be on their side of the end zone, because they've lost. I've lost count of how many balls they've lost inside of the 5-yard line, getting ready to score a touchdown.
Yep.
And if they do that against Alabama, Alabama will punish them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be. I think it will be a good game. I hope it is a good game, but I think you're crazy to take Tennessee in this game.
Yep, it's a really tough call. I think. Really though, it's a must-win game for Tennessee when you think about it, right? I mean, they need to beat Alabama. I mean, it's hard to lose 2 in a row and still stay in contention for the playoff, certainly. But, Florida still would have that 1-game lead. Wouldn't it be crazy the one year, the first time Tennessee beats Florida in 11 years, and then Florida still wins the SEC East?
Well, and that's another thing. Florida postponed their game today it's now scheduled for, I think, November the 19th versus an LSU team. So that's another game that they have to look out for. But I think even if Tennessee goes in and plays their hearts out and loses a close game to Alabama, they keep some confidence, and I still think they roll to an SEC championship.
Yep. They still have. I mean, the East is really bad. So I mean, Tennessee, really, when you look at it, unless Luke Del Rio starts coming in and threading, because there's a chance. I mean, if Luke Del Rio comes in and he's playing good ball, that Florida defense is good enough to carry them. As long as Luke Del Rio can just manage the game. But I'm with you. I don't think that Florida has a good enough offense to get them there. I think Tennessee still wins the East even if they lose this game. But you can count them out for the playoff. There's no doubt about that. There are some believers though in this game, and there's some guys on Tennessee's side taking the Volunteers in an upset here, but and it's very possible. We know with college football, anything's possible. That's why they play the game. It's just hard to pick against Alabama because you know what you're getting with Alabama. Tennessee, what we've seen from them all year long is struggle in the first half. You cannot do that against Alabama. You know what I mean? And and really, I thought that too about Texas A&M because of Texas A&M's offense. But really, A&M had a chance to ice that game, and the running back, these kids stopping on the goal line before and not running all the way into the end zone is really, really bad football. But Alabama is way too disciplined for those kinds of things, and I really think that Alabama will win this game. So.
Yes, and I'm going to go back to my little neat statistics here. Alabama has allowed 15 points per game.
Okay.
Tennessee's allowed almost 30.
Yeah, and you look at the teams that Alabama's played too. I mean, they played an Ole Miss team that can put up points and an Arkansas team that can put up points.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I've got Bama over the spread.
I'm with you, Big Daddy.
I think they take their business Saturday.
I'm with you. All right, so we both have Tennessee going down to the Tide. Austin has Bama winning by 17 points. I'm going to take Bama by 10, but that's going to be a great one at 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Austin, as we're wrapping up the Blitz here, let's run through our top 4 teams right now in the country. Who do you got as your number one team in the playoffs right now?
As my number one, I think I'm going to stick the same,
Alabama. Okay. Who you got at 2?
2, I will take. Since I have Ohio State losing this week, I'm going to put a Michigan at number 2.
Okay. Michigan at number 2. Interesting. The legend coming in with the little curveball here. Who you got at 3?
3, I will say Washington.
Ooh. Washington at 3. Man, it's not a bad pick. I mean, a lot of people are high on Washington. Who you got at 4?
The fourth one, it's going to be a throw. I know this is a shot in the dark, but if they continue to play good football, they win this coming Saturday, and then they roll on to win the rest of their season, even with one loss, you can't count them out, the Badgers.
Interesting. I had Wisconsin. Yeah, if Wisconsin beats Ohio State, they're definitely in my top 4. Don't think it's going to happen, but I would have to agree with you, man. If they beat Ohio State, then there's no doubt. But they're not in my top 4 this week. I'm going to start with Ohio State. I've been big on them from day one. They still get my number 1 vote. I'm going to then put Alabama right behind them, just because it's Alabama and Nick Saban. And if they handle Tennessee handedly on the road, then they might be battling with Ohio State for that top spot. So I've got Ohio State, Alabama at number 2. I'm going to take Clemson at number 3 just because their win was really impressive over Louisville. And then they handled Boston College last Friday like it was nothing. Coming in at number 4, Michigan. I'm going to stick with Michigan. They beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin was high on my list last week. And that's where I'm rolling, man. Austin, that's going to wrap it up for the Blitz, brother. I appreciate you coming on. And we're going to do this again next week or what?
Yes, sir. I'd be glad to be back. Hopefully we can bring in some more good news. And next week we're going to have some exciting stuff to talk about, like the Badgers being in the top 4. So thank you again for having me on the show. And everybody have a great night.
You got it, man. Hey, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Blitz. Enjoy your college football this weekend, folks, and have a great night. See you next time.
Because I was born this way.